Be bold, be fearless, be you. How to create the life you want. That is what we're going to talk about today. I want you to think about the answers to these questions. What does being brave mean to you? How brave do you feel right now? And what would be different if you had more bravery in your life? How many of us are just going through the motions of life, settling for anything and just taking what life gives us? I feel like it's so much more common than we think, and it's become so much more acceptable than it ever has. But why is that? Why do we settle for less than we want when we all know that this is the only life we really get? These are questions that I started to ask myself years ago when I started my journey of self-development. And it wasn't easy. They were difficult questions to answer. And I had to be honest with myself. I had to make a choice. I had to decide if I wanted to be safe in my life or if I wanted to be brave in my life. Having courage and being bold ultimately were the things that I wanted the most. I urge you to answer the same questions. So I will give you a little backstory. Imagine waking up one day and everything you thought life was going to be has gone down the drain. You're depressed, you're in darkness, you're suffering from anxiety, and you just have no clue how you're going to move forward. You're being held back by fear. Imagine being in a relationship where you don't have a voice. Nothing that you want to do, nothing that you think about yourself being can come to fruition because this person is holding you back by being aggressive, by instilling fear in you, by not allowing you to speak up for yourself, and also by making you feel that all of this that is happening to you is your fault. And on top of that, imagine having 2 children that you have to be an example for, yet you're still in this darkness, yet you're still in this uncertainty. Well, that was me. Until one day I woke up and I told myself, I need to be here for my children. And most importantly, also for myself. If I don't pour self-love into myself, if I don't think about being brave and what that will mean to my children and what example that will set for them, then what would I have? Then I would stay in this fear for the rest of my life. So I became brave. I started to ask myself all of these questions, and I started my journey of self-discovery and self-love. I knew I was tired of being tired and miserable, and that I had to make a change. But one thing I think a lot of people overlook is that when you are ready to make a change, you sometimes have no idea where to start. And that was me. You may even feel hopeless, and you may not even feel that you can achieve what you want. There is also usually a lot of fear mixed up in being brave and living courageously. 1000%. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. How to start to change your life and live it authentically while conquering that fear. Because that fear can feel like a real thing. And sometimes it is so hard to escape. But you won't have to let it prevent you from living the life you want. Living authentically, that is the beginning. Living an authentic life is so much more complicated and so much more messier than we give it credit for. It's a journey and it is so worth it, but it is a long journey. It is one of the most exciting, the most challenging, and the most growth-filled opportunities that you will ever encounter in your life. You slowly learn, implement, and implement things then that begin to help you change. And when you choose to live a life that's authentic to you, that's when you really start to show up in your life for yourself. That's when you learn what your real power is. and what you are truly capable of. It is so amazing. And it requires bravery and courage, dedication, and the utmost audacity to take a chance on yourself. Learn who you are. The first step is really learning who you are. Who are you? Ask yourself that. Take a look at yourself in the mirror. Be brave to go really deep and dig deep in yourself. It is taking a look inside and learning what's important to you. It's learning to live your life based on what your values are and your heart's desires instead of what you've been told that they are, as it was in my case. And that can be a little scary because most of us have been living our lives based on other people's values. So the first step really is to dig deep within yourself and to really understand what it is that you want from your life. How do you want your life to look? What do you want it to be like? How do you want to be? Really dig deep and ask yourself these questions. Figure out who you are and what your purpose is and what your likes and dislikes are and what you want your life to look like. My life was looking like darkness, and that is nothing that I wanted a part of anymore. I want fulfillment, purpose, excitement, peace. So take a look inside. The second step, after really digging deep, is to create a vision. Create a vision not only for what you want in your life to look like, but for how you want to be. How are you going to be showing up differently in your life because of these changes? For example, myself. If I continue to wake up every day feeling hopeless, feeling like there was no opportunity for me, feeling like this was it, this was my life, and nothing more was going to come from it, then that would have been the vision, the negative vision for the rest of my life. Except I changed that. I started waking up with hope. And I encourage you to really write this down and get as detailed as possible. If it helps, think about how your life will be different day to day. What is your day going to look like? As simple as a day. It starts with just the first step. Who's going to be in your life? Do you need to eliminate some people from your life for your life to change? Think about those things. Not only what it will look like, how will you feel once you start implementing these changes? I want you to envision it like it's really happening right now. Tackle the fear head on. Now that you have your vision, I want to go over the crucial step that we often overlook, tackling the fear head on. Whenever there is a change in our lives, there is a certain level of risk and uncertainty, and it can cause us to become fearful of making that change. For me, it was not being able to rely on another partner to help me raise my children, help me pay for expenses that had to do with my children. I was afraid I couldn't be able to handle it financially. The tip that I give for managing the fear is to really recognize that you're not alone in feeling that fear. Most people often just don't talk about it. People don't talk about how they're afraid to do the things they want to go after, their dreams, as much as we should. So the first thing to recognize is that the fear is just your way or your mind's way of trying to keep you safe, and safety isn't a bad thing. Know it's there to keep us safe from real physical harm. So this fear is not your enemy. It is something that is there to protect you. With that, recognize that you don't have to be submissive to that fear. You don't have to let it drive you because you can't let it stop you from that vision that you created for yourself. Don't judge yourself for the fear. Don't feel like it's a sign that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, because in actuality, it is a sign that is what your heart wants, and that is where you should go. Normally, we feel fear when we're stepping out of our comfort zone. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. We're just stepping into a new growth-filled place that we're not used to. My biggest tip for actively going after the things that you want while managing that fear is to find support. Find people who are like you, who are going through the same things or have the same goals. Find a mentor or surround yourself with positive people. That has helped me so much. Or find someone that's going to hold you accountable. We are much stronger together. Taking action. Know that when it's time to take action is when your fear tries to rear its ugly head. Just when you're ready to take that leap of faith, just when you've created that vision and you're ready to put it into fruition, that's when fear starts rolling back in. Imposter syndrome, we call that now. Recognize that you have vision and the support team, and that the fear doesn't have to hold you back. So I encourage you to take action no matter how small or how big it is, as long as you're moving forward. Power in fear. I think it's important to realize that we all have fear. There's something for us to be afraid of no matter how much we grow or how much we change. But the thing is, when we're fearful, that seems to blind everything. It seems to be the only thing we can focus on. And when we choose to focus on that fear, it can distract us from what we really want. So we have to really, really try to understand that the fear is there, but we don't have to allow it to take over our lives. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. I was always very fearful in sharing my survival story with others, especially my family, due to embarrassment, due to just not feeling comfortable in sharing what was going on, and also not knowing what was the right step to take if I still wanted to continue to be in this relationship. I was scared. I was fearful. But once I did, I felt free and empowered because I now let it go and it no longer consumed me. It no longer was who I was. It was something that happened to me, but it did not define me. That is when I realized how much power I really had. And you have this inside of you too. And when you overcome the things that you're afraid of, that's when you realize just how strong you are and how much you can do in your life. So if you take anything from today's conversations, is that when you face your fears and choose to live your life, that's when you prove to yourself how strong you really are. You already have it in you, but it is time to let it shine through. The steps are simple. Know who you are. Decide what you want and take action. The complexity comes in when we have to tackle the fear head on. But it's the difference between a life of going through the motions and a life that is true and authentic to you. Thank you.